Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
Now, it may have happened to you at some point, that moment when you realise you've gone over your overdraft limit. Now the Financial Conduct Authority is calling for fundamental changes to the way banks respond, especially their high charges. Most recent figures show a quarter of customers with an overdraft agreement went beyond that limit. In total, £1.2 billion in charges and fees were paid to banks for unarranged overdrafts. Our personal finance correspondent Simon Gompertz reports.
Come here, honey.
Meet one of the millions who've fallen into a financial trap which we're now told has no place in modern banking. Oliver, a telephone engineer from Milton Keynes, didn't just go into overdraft, he was allowed to go beyond his limit into unarranged overdraft with extra charges, and it's happened several times.
I think that the banks allow you to go over your overdrafts quite intentionally because they know they're going to make a lot of money from it. I think, personally, you shouldn't be allowed to go over your overdraft. The bank should put in the processes in place so that when you've reached your limit, you've reached your limit. And then not charge you because you haven't gone overdrawn.
If you stray into an unarranged overdraft, charges range up to £10 a day, plus up to £15 each time your bank refuses or pays a direct debit, and there's up to 19% of interest to pay. Say you went just a bit more than £10 into the red for 16 days. The RBS Select account would charge £80. That includes one refused payment. And Santander's 123 account would charge £95. So how does that compare with the cost of taking out a payday loan, which you'd expect to be a lot? The FCA is criticising banks because some of them are charging many times what the payday lenders charge.
The charges are very high on unarranged overdrafts, and secondly, they're quite opaque and complex, so people don't necessarily realise what they're paying because they're not taking a conscious decision to say, let me take out an unarranged overdraft. That doesn't happen.
Some banks have seen the writing on the wall. Lloyds is telling its customers that from November, if they stray over their overdraft limit, they won't face any fees at all. It's a sign that profits from people going into the red are going to have to be cut.
The clock is now ticking for banks to change their ways. As an industry, they've pledged to make overdraft costs clearer at least, but the FCA has promised a clampdown by next spring. Simon Gompertz, BBC News.